guys. Okay, so today we're gonna go ahead and I don't know if you guys remember the molarity, the concentration, how to calculate the concentration. So this was a little bit different because we have basically it's a little bit more organized. This was more like the bases are on the left side and the acids are on the right side. If you guys remember that the N means molarity, okay, and that's basically the concentration of the base, and the volume is how much. And now on here, we're usually it is in liters, but we're gonna go ahead and use milliliters, okay. Okay, so let's get started. So how many milliliters, which is ml, abbreviated as ml, of 1.5 molarity, the sodium hydroxide are needed to neutralize 28.0 milliliters of a 1.4 molarity of hydrochloric acid. Okay, so keep in mind, let's go back to the basics. Remember that OH, okay, because you're supposed to identify which is your acid, which is your base. So you look for the compounds, and basically the OHs will be your base, okay, and the hydrogens, those are gonna be your acids. Just a quick refresher. We have talked about this before, okay. So anyway, so let's go ahead and get started. So basically, so this is the M base. So we're gonna go ahead and start plugging it in. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and just rewrite it here. So M base times V base equals M acid times V acid. So I like to plug them in first, and then I move them around. Okay. Now I like to keep my acids. Let me go, instead of red, we're gonna go ahead and use the pink since I don't have my red. So you guys can know that this side is your acids and the left side will be your bases. Okay. So it really doesn't matter, but that's how we have it set up. Okay. So in here, let's go ahead and start plugging it in. So this molarity, and you could tell this is the M, so that and this is a base. So this belongs to this base. It's a concentration, belongs to this base. So we're gonna go ahead and plug in this right here because that is the molarity of the base, right? Of sodium hydroxide, which is a base. So we're gonna go ahead and put 1.5 molarity. And again, you could tell because the M, again, M is molarity. That means the concentration of that base. Okay. So, so let's go on. So this one, you're going to multiply it, okay, by the volume of whatever that base is. Now, unfortunately, we don't have it. That's your unknown. Okay, so this is your given. The given are the ones that you're going to plug in. And then this is your unknown. So we're trying to find the milliliters of the base because they usually come together anyways within that. They're close to each other if you're trying to solve it. So in here, it would be the volume of the base. And this is your basically, this is your molarity of the base. Okay, so we're gonna have to keep the V base. Why? Because this is your unknown. Okay, we don't know it, so we usually have it like a letter or whatever it shows there, the symbol. Okay, so now we're gonna go into the rest of the sentence. So this one, it's M acid. So M, so that's a molarity. Again, and the M is molarity. So that would be the 1.5 molarity. And then, of course, we're dealing with the acid. So this is your acid. Usually the hydrogen's in the front and the OHs are in the back. But as long as you find them together and the hydrogen just by itself, then that's your acid. Okay, so, or base. Okay, so in here, you're going to multiply it by the volume. So the volume will be always, it's going to be the milliliters. So volume, it will be always milliliters. Okay, so in here, this is your volume of acid, right? Because it's 28 milliliters of this acid. So that means it's a volume of this acid, right? And this one is your, this one right here, that will be your molarity of your acid. Okay, so times the volume will be 28.0 milliliters. And you could tell milliliters volume, molarity, molarity, and they're both come from the acid. Okay, so molarity of the base, this is your base because it has an OH, so that's 1.5, and that's the one we don't know, so that's your unknown. So we always keep that as a letter, okay, or, the symbol. Okay, so if you guys, let me quick refresher from the past. Remember, we have to look at the math that is around the one we need to isolate. So which one do we need to isolate? You always want to isolate your unknown, always. Okay. So in other words, anywhere that it has the letter or the symbol, that one needs to be by itself next to the equal sign, on the other side of the equal sign. So this number, we need to move it because B base is your unknown, and that's the one we need to solve. So that's why this one will be equal to whatever you're solving in here, okay? So again, we need to move the 1.5. Okay, so the rules is whatever math is occurring here, you always do the opposite, which is multiplying will be division. If you're adding, you subtract. If you subtract, you add. If you're dividing, then you multiply. Just a quick little, especially the next year, you're going to be doing physics. You're going to do a lot of calculations, and basically the rules apply the same. Okay, so in here, and again, this is multiply, so you're going to divide the whole thing, and you're going to divide it with the number you want to move, which is the 1.5 molarity, okay? And then whatever you did here, you're going to do the same thing to the other side. And once you move that number, these cancel out. And guess what? The base, which is that's the one, the milliliters, that's the one we want to solve. Okay, we want to know the milliliters. Okay, keep in mind that V means volume, okay, which is the milliliters. Liters, milliliters, that's volume. So that equals, and now what we're going to do is, and what you could do just to simplify, to make it easy for yourself, you could just multiply the top, 1.5 times 28.0, that equals to 42. And then you divide it by 1.5. And that is equal to 28 milliliters. And that is your answer.